Good morning, everyone. We are going to be doing, we're finally going to be doing the complete 86th Street walk. Here we are on McDonald Avenue, about to turn on to 86th Street. This is where, I guess you could say 86th Street ends. This is the intersection of 86th Street, Avenue X, and McDonald Avenue. And we are going to walk all the way to the other side. So I hope everybody's having a great day. It is a Thursday. Let me do a date check. 1 second here. June 25th. Thursday, June 25th at 9 a.m. by the way. I started recording at exactly 9 a.m. I have always wanted to do this walk. I've never done this on the channel. You know, we've been on 86th Street multiple times as my neighborhood. This cuts through my neighborhood. Right now we are in the Gravesend section of Brooklyn. And this is a residential part of 86th Street. So there's going to be, obviously, you guys know there's going to be some of those two big commercial areas we all know about. And then there'll be some residential, and then we'll start off with residential, then we'll end off with residential. Now, if you're wondering how long of a walk this is going to be, as I show you some of the homes, surprisingly, 86th Street is only 4.5 miles long. That's it. That is all. That is a normal full distance bike path walk in Brooklyn. That's how long that's how far the bike path is, 4.5 miles in distance. So we're going to be walking the distance of 4.5 miles before we're all said and done. This right here is West 6th Street. We've done West 6th Street. We've done a lot of these streets. So we're going to be walking through the following neighborhoods. We're in Gravesend now. Next one up, further down, over when we get over to Bay Parkway, that's Bensonhurst. I guess you could say Bensonhurst / Bath Beach, since I consider one side of 86th Street Bath Beach and the other side Bensonhurst, but nobody's keeping track. Then Dyker Heights, my neighborhood. We'll be walking right through my neighborhood and then wrap it up in Bay Ridge. We're also going to be passing by some major train stations, train lines. We started at the Avenue X station for the F line. We're about to pass the 86th Street station for the N line right here. And then for a little while, we're going to be under the D line. And then when we get over to Bay Ridge, we're going to be passing by the R line. So Here goes your train station. We will be walking by. We should be walking by L&B, which I'm sure is not open right now. It's not open. It's too early to be open. I'm sure there are some workers in there getting the place ready for lunchtime. We are right across from the Marlboro houses. So I've always wanted to do this walk, and every time I say, yeah, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, and I never do it. So we're finally doing it. Finally going to get it done. We were just on 86th Street, I want to say a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. We had the 86th Street Festival between 19th Avenue and Bay Parkway. This right here is Avenue V. This we have on the channel. I've never done Avenue V. I got to do that one next, I guess. There's a reason why. And that's because Avenue V is so broken up sometimes. It's definitely not a straight run, so. Looks like they're power washing the dining area, the outdoor dining area for L&B here. Here it is, guys. Still looks the same. This is where many of us hung out for lunchtime if you went to high school at Lafayette. By the way, I'm using my new camera that doesn't like to pan. I need to use a joystick all the time. It's called the DJI Pocket 3. I call it the DJI Pocket crap. Now, I've said this before, I'll say it again. For those of you who have never used the 2, because many people didn't get into using these type of cameras until the 3 came out, but you guys, If you never used the 2, you don't know what you're missing. Way superior camera than this one. Way superior. I don't care about the bigger screen and being able to shoot 3K in portrait mode. And I know the DJI Pocket 4, I think that's already manufactured, but I'm not sure if it's available in the US at the time that I'm recording this. I know that they had to get like FCC permits and stuff like that. DJI has a hard time nowadays getting stuff approved here in the United States because the United States government considers, you know, DJI products to possibly be used for surveillance and all that other stuff. Obviously, I mean, in the general sense of the word, I'm kind of surveilling the area when I walk through, but more specifically, the drones, the drone technology over the years. So it's a little harder for them to get permits and stuff like that. I'm not really an expert in how all that works anyway. I'm just saying, how I know this stuff is because I'm a drone pilot and I use DJI drones, and I can tell you they're trying to ban DJI drones in the United States. So any kind of product made by DJI falls under that umbrella. This right here is Avenue U. I'm kind of walking not fast, not slow, so I will start picking up the pace in a few moments. I'm just trying to get into like a walking rhythm here. Sometimes it takes me a little bit to get into it. Little behind the scenes, I recently recorded an Avenue U walk in the rain. It was a little bit of rain in that walk. And I wound up dumping it. It had an issue. It had multiple issues. I just didn't like the way the quality of the video came out. So I wound up dumping it. Alright, here we go. Stillwell Avenue. Alright, so we're under the train tracks. Officially. Anyway, this is where the scene of those ongoing protests, however, they've been pushed across the street, from what I understand. And there's a cop. I was just going to say, they usually have cops over here keeping the peace, but recently there were some construction equipment that came through here, and there was almost a mad brawl down here to get into this place. I'll give you guys the what that protest is about in a moment. Yeah, the train above me, so I don't want to try to compete. But they're trying to put a homeless shelter here, and a lot of local residents here do not want that homeless shelter here because they're afraid that it's going to bring crime, because it's going to bring people that are on drugs or other things. Like I said, I'm not protesting it. I'm just, don't shoot the messenger. I'm telling you what they're protesting. And they've been protesting it for years. They've been protesting it for, I want to say, 2 years now. This is going on 2 years, I believe. I think 2024 is when it started. I have some video of that protest, but you'd have to find it. It's an 86th Street walk from like 2 years ago, and I believe the thumbnail of the video is of the protesters, so if you can find it. There's also a short in there, somewhere in there, like in my shorts, there's a short clip of them protesting. All right, here is the firehouse. This is engine 253, and by the way, I always thought there was a ladder here, and I don't see the sign anymore. Did they get rid of the ladder? Am I crazy? I'm pretty sure there was a ladder here. A ladder truck. Sometimes you walk by things so many times in your life, and it gets so burned in your mind that you're not sure if it was one way or the other. Well, we've made it to 24th Avenue, by the way, in case you're not keeping track. The next 3 blocks have the very wide sidewalks, but the next block, that wide sidewalk is taken up by a whole bunch of vendors and stuff. So the next block is generally the most crowded block on 86th Street, on the whole 4.5 miles that we're going to walk. And it's a little after 9 right now, so I don't know if it's going to be that crowded. But you come down here at around 1 p.m. It is extremely hard to walk on the next block by around lunchtime. Many times I've had to just go into the street. I don't know if I told you guys the temperature, but the temperature right now is 80 degrees. It is going to be a warm day today. I don't think it's going to hit 90, but it's going to be warm. It's already warm right now with the sun on my back. We are supposed to get some overnight rain. No kind of like rainy day tomorrow, but overnight tonight we're supposed to have rain for about 4 or 5 hours. And I think there's some rain coming next week for a couple of days. Right now, as of today, the 4th of July weekend, which is not this weekend, but the next weekend looks good here in my area. I can't speak for your area, but I know here in New York, we may have some thunderstorms around, but it looks like the weather's going to be really nice. This is 23rd Avenue right here. This is a really busy block right here. Even at this time in the morning, you can see plenty of people out shopping. Man, I just got the craziest big whiff of onions. That's a first. Usually you smell a lot of like fruits or you smell fish and stuff. You just smell a whole bunch of onions. You like how I'm not even yielding? I'm not even yielding. I mean, you're walking in my lane, so. Oh, I gotta yield to this guy. I don't want to lose my legs. So you can see it's around 9 in the morning. It's 9:22 a.m. right now, and it is, you can see, like, it's already got a lot of people out on this block. This is where Meat Supreme used to be. Used to have Meat Supreme and then that Petland store over here. Back in the day, if you remember, this used to be where Roy Rogers was. I'm going way back. And then at where the TD Bank is, way back, used to be the Wiz. Who remembers Nobody Beats the Wiz? That was an electronics store. Going way back. There goes Burger King. Burger King's been here. Rainbow is finally gone, by the way. There's no more Rainbow shops down here. I've said this in the past. This is the most depressing CVS I've ever been into. I don't know what it is. I mean, it looks like so... When you go in there, just, I don't know. Just a layout, I guess, and it looks really old. Every time I used to hate going in there back in the day to pick something up like a prescription or any kind of like cold medicine, toothpaste, shaving cream. This is what has filled in the spot where Rainbow used to be. By the way, we're in Bensonhurst. I forgot to mention that when we got past 23rd Avenue. We are now in the Bensonhurst. And like I said, if you want to get techno, you can say the other side over there is the Bath Beach side. This side's the Bensonhurst side. I mean, I'm actually going to go across because the light hasn't changed yet. Somebody had reminded me last time I did the walk on 86th Street, I was talking about old businesses that are still around. They had to remind me, Effie's has been around a very long time. It's one of the remaining original businesses on 86th Street from back in the day. We're gonna switch it up though. We're gonna get on this side because I never give this side any kind of love, so we're gonna be on this side for a little bit. I know everybody wants to probably see that side, but you could go back in my past walks and see. We're gonna be on this side now for a while. So we are walking the entire distance of 86th Street. This is something I've never done on the channel. Is walk the complete uninterrupted distance of 86th Street. I've never done that. Surprisingly. We've walked a lot of complete roads on my channel in the last 3 years, and I never did this one. Which is kind of... The thing is, you know, when it comes to 86th Street, there's two main parts that people want to see anyway, so now everybody's going to get to see everything in one shot. The Food Universe Marketplace. Obviously, this is where the PC Riches used to be back in the day. Dunkin' Donuts is still here. This walk will be a same day delivery. So you guys are watching this on the same day I did the walk. I'm doing this. It's 9:30 in the morning right now on June 25th. Tomorrow is the last day of school here in the New York City area. I mean, they made the kids go to school right up to Friday. I saw them putting these things up the other day. This frame here. I was over here. They were putting up this frame, and they were having trouble. It looks like they figured out. Looks like they figured out what the problems were, and they got it up. It was kind of funny because I was kind of watching it, and they were arguing. It seemed like they were arguing if it was upside down or if it was backwards. And it goes the Marshalls. And it still looks like the old movie theater. They really didn't change anything. I mean, they added these big windows where the small windows used to be with all the movie posters and stuff. And this big overhang where you used to have the marquee and stuff. I can't remember the last movie I saw in this theater. I remember what I saw in the Fort Way. The last movie I saw in the Fort Way, I believe, was Twister. But this theater, I can't remember the last thing I saw in this theater. It's never going to happen either. You know what I would have to do? I'd have to go onto the IMDb site. That's the movie site. And go back to 94, because that I remember when I was in the theater the last time. It was in 1994, and it was still open for a while after that. But I remember the last time I went in that theater was in 94, so I'd have to look at the 94 movies. I'll probably remember if I look at the lineup and see what was playing in 94 and say, oh, okay, I remember that was the last time I was in there. All right, we've made it to 18th Avenue, and we're in my local neighborhood area now. From here to, I would say, the park, to Dyker Park, where we're going to pass later. That is this is considered my local neighborhood right here. Excuse me. Thank you. I don't want to wait. I know somebody would be like, Stry Warrior, you could wait a couple extra seconds. I can't. I get I got to get past people. That's the way I am. I very rarely do that. If you look on my channel, I think this is the second time I did that in 3 years. Where I said, excuse me, I gotta get by you.
He wanted to show me so you can say he's Drake all through.
Bay 16th Street. Bay 16th Street. This is the only Bay Street that goes through 86th Street. Down to New Utrecht Avenue. The only one. The only Bay Street. That's it. Out of all the Bay Streets from Bay 7th to Bay 54th, it's the only street that cuts through. Let's see if I see anybody I know. I mean, I'm in my neighborhood. I usually walk by people that I know. But that'd be kind of funny on the camera. There's the old pizza place that used to be here. I should tell the story. I always tell the story. For the new people, any new people that haven't heard the story. I'll tell you guys when I get across the street here. What's this guy doing? This guy's like pointing and giving hand signals while he's going through the intersection. I think his name was Sal. Sal's Pizza. But whatever his name was, I used to go in that pizza place a lot. That was my pizza joint growing up. And the guy that was in there, he was a really good guy, but like he could be, you know, one day he could be in a great mood and the next day he could be in a really rough mood. And if you went to the pizza place as much as I did, or you were one of the local guys, you know, you knew, you could tell just by walking in, you could tell the energy. Okay, today's not a good day for him. But the one thing about that pizza place was, it was in the summertime, it was god-awfully hot. I mean, it was so hot in there. It was the hottest pizza place I've ever been in the summertime in my entire life. It was freaking hot. Which, by the way, made no sense because the sun in the summertime is mostly behind the building once you get past around 1 o'clock. So you would think maybe it's the sunlight or whatever, but I know you're saying, well, no, it's the ovens, but I mean, obviously every pizza place has ovens, duh, but it was the hottest pizza place I've ever been in. And sometimes people would come in there and they would complain, they would say, man, it is so hot in here. And he would he'd lose his shit, and he would be like, listen, I'm in here all day, so I don't care, you know, if you're hot. By the way, there's where the old Vegas Diner used to be. Yes, right there. And I was in the Vegas Diner on the first day it opened, I want to say 1984, in a blizzard. In a blizzard, it opens. That was its first day opening in a blizzard. Anyway, so he used to get angry with people that told him it was hot. This guy's all decked out for 4th of July. 250th birthday of the United States, which is going to be next weekend. So he decides to put a sign up in his, right on the cash register. And it said, he wrote this on the sign, he said, don't tell me how hot it is in here. Not joking. Like, he put that on the sign. Of course, one day, me being me, I told him, I was like, it's really hot in here. This is St. Francis Cabrini. It's my church when I was, well, I guess you could say I went to this church every once in a while when I lived on Bay 10th Street. We're getting to where I have been living. I'll show you the block in a second. I could be telling you all these things about, like, this used to be the Jaguar dealership. I used to wash cars here every weekend for the dealership owner before they built this. It was a Rite Aid, now it's Walgreens. But anyway, getting back to the story. So I tell him that it's really hot, and he threw me out. One of his best customers. I mean, there were times I was in there twice a day, you know, as a teenager, you know. I mean, I was one of his best customers. He threw me out. I didn't go back for like 2 weeks. All right, where are we? By the way, we just passed Bay 10th Street. That was the street I was going to say. That's Bay 10th is where I was living, right up on that block, right up on the corner of Bay 10th and Benson. I was living there. I moved here in '85. This is where I moved here. And I've been living here ever since. All right, let's wait for the traffic. It's funny because right now I could go home. I could just end it right here. We've been walking for 43 minutes and I could just go home, take a shower, get this video ready. Very rarely I mean, how rare it is on this channel where I do all these 5, 6, 7 mile walks and I never say, oh, look, I could go home right here. But no, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to walk past my neighborhood. By the way, this is considered Dyker Heights here. This is considered Dyker Heights. And we will eventually hit Bay Ridge. Another place I spent my whole teenage life was in this diner, although it wasn't called Mike's Diner, it was Puritan. Puritan. Some of these places, though, have been around. Like, I know the accountant place has been here forever. Right next to where this purple crayon place used to be Maddie's. If you guys remember Maddie's. Maddie's was like, you know, it was like a place that... I always never knew what you call those kind of stores. So I'll just describe it and you'll know. It's a place where you went in, you bought coffee, you bought lotto tickets. But they also had cards, and they also had, like, you could buy, you know, toys and other stuff. You know, like, it was just an all-purpose store. I wouldn't call it a 99-cent store. It was. This is before there were 99-cent stores. So. Park Bagels. This is my bagel shop right here. Back in the day, that whole spot there, all of that used to be that Chinese restaurant, Asian restaurant. We used to call it the Wok. And they would, back in the day, they would get in trouble because I remember, if I remember correctly, they would serve alcohol. And you'd have some of the older people go in there and buy alcohol for the younger people. And people would get drunk and there would be fights outside. And right here is Dyker Park. Which looks very much the same as it did a long time ago. We used to have a big swing set right here. I mean, they obviously updated the children's part of the park, but everything pretty much looks the same. The bocce courts are still there. Bocce ball is not as popular as it used to be here anymore. It used to be very popular here. I mean, there's still people that play, but it's not as popular as it used to be. At this time, you'd see people playing already. Like, I remember when the bocce ball thing was going, there would be guys playing at like 7 in the morning all day. Both courts. There goes the Knights of Columbus. I want to get across the street though. Because this side, I mean, it's a nice side. It's all nature and everything, but we'll be able to look at some homes, give you guys something to look at. All right, let's wait for this traffic. Light's about to change in a moment. There it goes. All right, now this is just uphill now. We're walking uphill for a while. Until we get at least to 7th Avenue. We just passed 13th Avenue. Best way to understand what I'm about to say is just look at a map of Brooklyn, but the way Brooklyn is shaped, there are avenues down here that don't exist. So 13th Avenue, 12th Avenue, 11th, and 10th Avenue are pretty much together. You'll see when we get up there. It'll be 11th, and then a quick small block to 10th, and then it goes straight to 7th Avenue. And then hits Fort Hamilton Parkway, and then 5th, 4th, and 3rd. So yeah, there's some numbers missing. 9th Avenue terminates all the way down over by the Fort Way. As a matter of fact, it terminates behind the Fort Way Theater, right into Bay Ridge Avenue. Eighth Avenue terminates where it merges into 7th Avenue over on like 72nd Street, and 6th Avenue terminates where it merges into, again, well, I would say like Fort Hamilton Parkway over at 84th Street. So that's where those avenues end. They don't come down this far. Starting to see some nice homes down here. When we get down past 3rd Avenue, we'll start to see some really nice homes when we get down past 3rd Avenue. That's the last part of the walk when we're in Bay Ridge. This is a Christmas light neighborhood right here. Only 5 months away. Think about that. That is going to go by so fast. Well, let's think about this. July, August, September, October. Yeah, November. They start decorating in November. So. It's not far away, I'll tell you that. Look how fast the first 6 months went by, right? We're about to hit July 1st already. Now what I'm going to do for you guys, I didn't say it, but 86th Street is 4.5 miles long. I'm going to make it a 5-mile walk. What I'm going to do is we're going to get up to Shore Road at the end, and then I'll get you guys onto the waterfront just for a quick look before I stop recording. Give you guys some a little bit of nature and then some ocean, and that's how I'll end it. Eleventh Avenue. What I meant to say earlier, by the way, is that from 10th Avenue to 7th Avenue is a quick block. I think I had made a mistake. I said from 11th to 10th. So 11th to 10th Avenue, as you can see, it's a long block. When we get up to 10th, and then we're going to immediately hit 7th. It's going to be like 10th Avenue and then 7th Avenue. There goes the golf course on my left side across the street. There's a really nice home over here. I don't know if we'll see if I'll be able to see it through all of this stuff here. There you go. This is a beautiful home. And then over here, right next to it, is another beautiful home. This home was recently boarded up. That's probably going to get a big renovation. These homes down here they're not allowed, generally not allowed to build condo units on this street, on these streets over here. You have to keep the aesthetic, I guess you could say, of the neighborhood. Because there's been a number of homes on this road that have been renovated over the years. Just totally redone from ground floor to roof. So this is 10th Avenue right here. And then right over there is 7th Avenue. Here goes BurgerFi. You know what? I want to get across the street. So I want to be on this side for a little while now. Switch it up. This is where the old Nathan's used to be. It was totally unrecognizable. You know, big school. This block was Nathan's right here, kinda, and then there was a gas station over here. Well, actually, no, it was it was a parking lot. Let me correct myself. It was Nathan's and the parking lot, and the next block where that hotel is where the gas station used to be. There used to be a gas station here. I have heard through the grapevine that there's a lot of World Cup people here in this hotel. This hotel does very well, but especially during Christmas season, this is where a lot of people stay now. It is instantly booked out during holiday season because you gotta remember, before that hotel was there, the closest hotel you can find to this neighborhood for the Christmas lights was there's a hotel over on I always forget, it's the hotel on 4th Avenue over there. I always remember it's the hotel where Mike Tyson punched a guy out in the lobby. That's the closest. But then most people, what they do is they come in from the city on tour buses. We are officially in Bay Ridge as we cross over this overpass. You can see the Bay Ridge mural over there. This is one of the only PC Richards that's still around here in Brooklyn. We've been walking for 1 hour. My pace is a little off, though. It's definitely a little off. That's because we've had to stop a couple of times for traffic lights and stuff. And I did start off slow. I was walking quite slow. I've been walking fast since about 21st Avenue. Fifth Avenue. Alright, now we're getting into the last parts of the walk. We gotta get to Shore Road, which is... I'll give you the rundown of what we gotta cross. There's Pizza Wagon. This is where the Century used to be. They finally tore it down last winter. It's totally empty in here now. They tore down all the Century buildings over here. They're going to be doing a lot of development over here. Let's see if they have a sign. Because the last time I was here, they didn't have a sign. And it looks like they do have a sign. Let's see what they're building. The buildings on the next block, by the way, are still up. They only tore down the 86th Street side of the building. So this is what they're going to build right here, guys. Let's look at this. 2027. So that's what it's going to look like. Interesting. So, okay, they're not going to build... There was a lot of rumors that they were going to either put a school here, or they were going to put, you know, big apartment building, but I guess they're not doing that. This is the terminal stop for the B1. This is where the B1 starts its route right here. And then right over here is the R line. This is the 86th Street station on the R line. I said I was going to give you guys a rundown of what was left. Sorry, I forgot. Here we are. We're on, well, at this point, we'll say we're on 3rd. Coming up. 3rd Avenue's coming up. Then Ridge Boulevard. Colonial. And Narrows. And then Shore Road. Starting to see some residential homes again. When we get past 3rd, neighborhood starts getting really nice. I'll tell you, the last 3 blocks are going to be, you can see some really nice homes. And in case you missed it in the beginning of the walk, I said the distance for 86th Street is 4.5 miles, which is, for me, that's just a warm-up walk. It's not as long as you think. Although I will say what makes it a little challenging is we were uphill from 13th Avenue till about 5th. We're about to go downhill soon. What I'll do is I'll get across the street and show you guys some walk-ups. So let's take a little break here. I want to take a little break. As a matter of fact, wait. Let me get across the street first. Because then I'll be waiting for 2 traffic lights. There we go. Oh, great. You know what? I'm going to stay in the street. There is a little caravan of kids. Daycare kids. You know what? I'll get on the sidewalk. Can't see their faces right now, and then I'll go around them. I want to show you guys some walk-ups. There's this one walk up that has all these flowers, things that go up the stairs. All right, we're back. I just wanted to cut out some of that just in case. You know, YouTube has become a minefield for copyright action against content creators. Any kind of little music that they think that they could hit you with, they will. So to be safe, you know, sometimes I've got to cut music out. Here's where the homes get really nice. Look at the nice sunflowers, little sunflowers or daisies. We are walking downhill too, by the way. It looks like we're finally going to do it, guys and girls. We are finally going to do a... Look at these homes over here. We're finally going to wrap up a complete distance walk of 86th Street. That bus is making all that noise, by the way, in case you're wondering, what is that? Bus sounds like a vacuum cleaner. This is where Fort Hamilton High School is, in this area. We'll be walking right by it. And it gets very quiet down here, so very easy to cross the streets against the light and stuff. Usually not a lot of traffic. I'm actually going to cross over right here. Now, when we get to Shore Road, I'm going to keep walking until we get on. We're going to end it at the on the 92nd Street overpass. I'm looking at the counter, 75 minutes. That means right now it should be 10:15 a.m. 10:15 a.m. There's a really nice home right at the end of this street, right where 86th Street ends. So that's why I came on this side. I always like, there's these two homes that we're going to see right where we end the walk. Well, we're not going to end the walk, but we're going to end the 86th Street part. It's on the next block, so you'll have to wait for that. I think today is the last day of school for some of the high school kids. Tomorrow is the official, so New York City is kind of strange. So New York City, tomorrow is the official last day of school for public schools, for a lot of the public schools, but some high schools have already been finished. They have their graduations today. I know some of the graduations were the other day. Catholic schools, I'm pretty sure, are already done. I think they finished a week ago, so there goes Fort Hamilton High School over there. So, you know, not every school in New York finishes on the same day. Some schools finish earlier than others, but tomorrow is absolutely the last day of school, like of any school. So this is the last block, and these two homes, well, all these homes on this block are nice. And but these last two homes are really, really nice. Look at these homes. Beautiful home. And you got this one right here, smaller one. Actually, it's a big home. It just goes back. And then we're here at the end of Shore Road. We did it finally. 4.5 miles. And now I will take you guys to the 92nd Street overpass to look at the water. So I guess, you know, when we get over to the overpass, I guess we could say we've rounded it off to 5 miles. So this is the nature portion of the walk. And what did we do? We did that in what? I didn't look at the counter. It says 80 minutes now. So what? We did that. Basically did 86th Street. It took us what? 78 minutes? An hour and 18 minutes? Less than an hour and 20 minutes? To do the 4.5 miles? I would say we're on pace then, because if I did the 6 miles, we'd be finishing at around hour 40. So yeah, you could definitely do another mile and a half in 20 minutes. So. I have to walk that way anyway, but I'm purposely ending it at 92nd Street just because I wanted to keep the video under an hour and 30 minutes, or at around an hour and 30 minutes. You know what I realized? We didn't do our yearly Shore Road walk here. I usually come down here and do a complete Shore Road walk where I walk through the parks and stuff. So we'll do that eventually. I like to do we go through the parks, up on the sidewalk, through the parks, up on the sidewalk, because to my right here is it's just one big park for like 2 miles. Alright, here's where we're gonna get down into this little park area and get over the overpass, and we're gonna call it. Here's the water. I want to thank everybody for tagging along. We finally did a full 86th Street walk. How many years have I said, oh, we got to do it, we got to do it? I do all these other complete... I mean, we do some walks where we walk... Some of the roads that we walk, they're like 6 or 7 miles. Looks like we got a tree down over here, like part of a tree down here. We haven't had any major storms recently. I mean, this is probably from that storm that I walked weeks ago, I would imagine. So. By the way, speaking of storm season, very bad storm season. And I'm not talking about bad in a lot of storms. I'm talking about there are no storms. We haven't had anything, really. Really depressing. It's like it's shaping up like last year. If you remember last year, we didn't get any storm walks in. I think I've only gotten in a couple maybe this year. Last year, July was the month. I mean, last July, we had 3 really good ones. If you remember, there was that one walk. I got caught in that 70-mile-an-hour windstorm that blew the fence down on camera. And there was a guy on a bike who was getting blown down, and that was last year. And I remember, if you remember, it was every Friday for like a month, because the way I remember that is that we went to the only 3rd Avenue Street Festival, because, you know, they do those 3rd Avenue Street Festivals for like 4 straight weeks in July. And last year they did the first one, and then after that the next 3 got rained out. Every Friday we had a really big thunderstorm. All right, gonna wrap it up here. I'll give you guys a nice view of the area. It's kind of breezy down here. There is the Verrazano Bridge. There is Staten Island. And that's it. I want to thank everybody for tagging along. I would say at this point we did about 5 miles, and that's it. So, hope everyone has a great day, and I will catch you all on the next one. So take care, and like I always say, bye-bye.